Okay, first off, if you haven't played a Diablo game, I highly recommend you go and play one. I personally recommend Diablo 3, and I'm going to explain to you why, but Diablo 4 is a really good game as well, and I'm going to also explain to you why, so stick around for that. But I want to just highlight my review of the Diablo 4. I literally just finished the epilogue of the game as we speak, and there's a few things in the game I liked. Look, some things here and there that I really disliked or didn't really like the concept of or haven't grasped yet. Maybe if I play the game more, I'll get them. But I want to mention key points from Diablo 3 to Diablo 4 that kind of put me off, but are just kind of like in between the boundary, if that makes sense. So I'm going to start off with Diablo 3. I kind of have a really personal, sentimental value to the game, and I hold it in such high regard because after my father passed away, it was like the one game that I got introduced to when I was around, I want to say 11, 12 when the game released. That was really grasping me. I like the idea of going around as a barbarian or crusader or the wizard who I played on my PC account. You'll probably see gameplay on the screen of my Paragon like 450 level wizard, hundreds of hours into the game on many different accounts, but it just holds personal value to me because I really enjoyed the game. And the one reason I enjoyed the game was the idea of killing enemies, getting better loot, getting stronger, unlocking abilities, and combining abilities to deal high amounts of damage and crowd control. Diablo 4 also does this, and I really like the way that it's spread out. So in Diablo 4 you have one skill tree for one character. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it branches out from core skills, basic skills, ultimate skills, passive skills, and there's little sub genres of those skills that you can upgrade. So for me, I was using a tornado like pulverizing build on my druid class, which you'll probably see in the gameplay. It's where I make the enemies vulnerable by hitting them with an electric strike and then putting the tornadoes in, the hurricanes, fortify myself for more defense, and then the fortify will give me more damage because of my armor sets. And the way it all just comes together and pulverizes for enemies is very unique. And it's the same thing for my wizard in Diablo 3, where I'm running a hyena staff build where I use hyenas on the ground that will freeze enemies around me, and then I can use my right click, my arcane power will absorb all the damage from them. It goes out to them. That makes sense. So they do damage to me. I negate it, hit them with the big beam like Zaya almost. But the idea of that sounded really cool to me, and Diablo has really captured that as a franchise to me. I want to play Diablo 2 and 1 for those reasons. But Diablo 3 has this one thing in particular that I hope Diablo 4 will introduce at some point. The game is fairly new. The first season has just dropped, and I'll get onto the seasons in a second because I still don't understand the concept, but we'll move on. Diablo 3 had this thing called set armors, right? So for my wizard, I had what was called a Tower Rusher build where it would focus on, I believe it was meteors, which was one of the skills your wizard could use. But you can see on the screen here, my stash is full of green armor set items, right? You get them from just killing bosses and dungeon farming and Nephilim Rift farming as well, which is also another thing I hope happens in Diablo 4. Nephilim Rifts are such a good addition to the Diablo franchise. You basically go in there and you go through a boss rush kind of thing. You kill a swarm of enemies, gets 100% on the kill counter thing, and then the boss will spawn, kill the boss, and you get legendary items, rare items, set items, jewelry. I don't think gold is in that actually, but you can sell it for gold anyway. That's what I used to do, farm loads of money for that. But the set armors basically, if you wanted to go for one specific build, they were made for that build. So the Tower Rusher build, for example, I might be getting this wrong because I haven't played the Meteor skill in Diablo 3, but if it does work for Meteors, please let me know. But the Tower Rusher build basically means your Meteors do more damage, and the more of the set armor piece you have equipped to you, the better the stats. So, for example, I've mixed and matched some of them on my Diablo 3 Wizard character, where one will do this amount because it's on its own, and then another one will do this bit of damage because it's also on its own, and you can combine the sets, and it was a really good addition for like a really good meta build. Diablo 4 has yet to do this. I could be wrong, but from looking it up after just finishing the game, there's no green set armor sets in the game, and I'm really upset at that. But again, the game is fairly new. I don't know how long set pieces were in the Diablo 3 for. I assume they were quite like early into the game's build, but just expanded over time, and I hope Diablo 4 does the same. But the thing for me with Diablo 4 that really stands out is the story. The story to me was really nice. Same with Diablo 3, but Diablo 4, the way it switched from gameplay to the cutscenes was really nice. The transition on the Blood Petals with Lilith. I'm not going to spoil too much of the story because I highly recommend you go and play it for yourself. But the character development and the character building and world building is really nice. and the voice acting was amazing. Everyone did a good job, especially your character. I played as a druid, and he had like that really like monotone, like caveman sounding voice, and he sounded really cool. So I'm giving props for that. Another thing as well that I really liked was the idea of the online multiplayer. It was kind of confusing at first because in Diablo 3 it was a single player only thing, or co-op with your friends online or local. So going from that to like a Destiny kind of thing where you go through the world by yourself and then you just meet people along the way, like actual other players. I've seen a few in my time, like you go to an event, there's someone there to help you do it, stuff like that. It really just makes it more unique in my opinion, and it was kind of a weird adjustment going from a single player game to that, but I welcome the change, and it's a good way to get more casual players into the game. It's the same with like Overwatch, where Overwatch 2 was free to play, and a lot more people in the community are getting into Overwatch and really just helping me throw my games in comp, but that's besides the point. Again, I'm just going on a tangent. I'm just like thinking it off the top of the dome. I'm not even trying to structure this as much. I mean, I've written some notes down on my iPhone, but they're not really working, so there's that. The thing is, the only problem I had with Diablo 4, which I think is just a compatibility issue, or maybe it's just the game itself, like the servers. Sometimes you may notice that if you go, I think it's if you travel at like too fast of a speed, or if too many things come on the screen at once, your game will stutter for a bit, or you may get severe frame drops. That happened to me a few times. I don't know if you'll see it in the footage that I have in the background. It happened to me a few times. It wasn't anything too drastic, especially with my new setup. On my old setup, I was playing on like lower settings, but I had fairly decent graphic settings and fairly decent clutter distance things. So clutter distance will basically be like if there's loads of enemies on the screen, it will try and draw them out a little bit, like visually, so it won't really mash into one part of the screen and just like stretch out, and it's just random GPI and GPU stuff like that. But that's the only thing I don't really like, but that could just be a PC thing, could just be me, could just be the game servers, because the game is server ran, so you will have those times where the servers may be a bit down and laggy, but whatever it is, it was minor for the most part. Sometimes in boss fights it was annoying, especially in the Lilith boss fight, because it happened to me once and I died from it, but game's a game, you gotta take it. And that's another thing as well, that's the last thing I'll mention. I'm not going to spoil the boss fight for Diablo 4 too much, but if you haven't played Diablo 3, go play it now before I spoil this one. I personally prefer the Diablo boss fight compared to Lilith. So you fight Diablo at the end of Diablo 3, like the demon Diablo, and I really like the concept of that. It was 2 phases, and you go from the normal realm, if you will, like from heaven to hell with your own personal demons and Diablo himself. So you basically formed into your own demons and tried to bad you up, but obviously you're the goat and you're gonna smack him up. And Lilith was just a case of she just flew around for a bit, and then in the second phase she just transformed a little bit and she throws some fodder enemies at you, which is a welcome change because I could use them for free healing and stuff, so that was really nice. But other than that, that's really my honest review on Diablo 4 compared to Diablo 3. I know I've like structured this a bit weird, but I promise you I didn't mean to make it this concise or this convoluted, sorry, but yeah, thank you for sticking around and listening to this anyway. Probably should have made this a lot easier to understand, but I just wanted to get a Diablo 4 video out, having just finished the game literally like 10 minutes before recording this, so it is what it is. But anyway, I will see you later, take care and subscribe, peace.